This is my review of The Promised Neverland, Chapter 130, Something to Report. Before I get started, I just want to do a quick apology. I didn't do a review last week. I was out of town, didn't have my equipment, and just didn't have the time, honestly. But back, and my main takeaway from last chapter is Norman's freaking nuts. He's in dissecting demons. He's got a whole room of horrors in the basement. I almost feel like he's going to end up being the final boss of this whole series, stopping him and his followers just from going on a mass killing spree. Anyway, so I just love how this chapter opens. Sorry, but I'm going to go to the Seven Walls, and I don't want to eradicate the demons. Just everyone's shocked reaction to this was absolutely hilarious. But once they calmed down and they explained things to everyone, they really came to realize, are we the bad guys here? Well, not quite that much, but they came to see that the demons are living beings with children, and if they take away their food supply, what's going to come next is an absolute nightmare of horror for them. Worse than really anything any of them have experienced up to this point. Plus, Musica and Sonja were their friends. I mean, they helped them out. I mean, some of the Goldie Pond kids probably don't know about them, but for the rest of them, they're only alive because those two saved them and taught them how to live in this terrifying world. It's a very emotional moment for all of them. The one girl, I honestly don't know her name. There's too many characters. She has the hat with the pins. She basically says that she hates demons. She doesn't want to kill them, but in order to keep her family safe, she's willing to kill all of them. Personally murder their babies and their children just to make sure that these people, her family that she's come to love, are safe. Even then, it's clear that this would hurt her emotionally. This would hurt her soul to actually have to do that. Of course, Donna's just like, well, that's who Emma is. Let's let her do what she wants. Much to Gilda's protest. I really found a bit of irony in Emma's statement. I mean, Gilda asked her, why does it always have to be you? And she basically said, it's the only choice I can accept for myself. But then she complained about Norman always putting himself in danger, slowly killing himself through this whole process, destroying his own soul in order to keep moving forward to save them. And that's literally what Gilda was just complaining about her doing. And then she's like, I have to do this in order to stop Norman from doing the exact same thing. I don't think she even realized the irony in that. From there, we move on to Emma and Ray actually going. Vincent asks Norman when they'll leave, and he replies, if the moon comes out as early as tonight. So apparently the moon is important to this ritual of sorts. They also have, I think that's the flower that blooms in blood. The golden water that's reflecting the moon. Yeah, this is looking more and more like magic with every passing moment. I know when they touched the Stonehenge and she saw freaking dragons, that was basic magic, but this is a blood ritual under the full moon. I mean, it might not be what I'm thinking. They might not just be teleported. They might not have their minds sent to an alternate dimension. It might just be that doing this will light their way to the Seven Walls, and that's how they'll find the truth. But I'm almost certain at this point that once they do this, they're just going to black out on the ground and wake up in basically the afterlife. And that seems more likely because Emma literally said, okay, everyone, we're going. Not, okay, we're going to... They weren't waiting for her to glow or to point them anything. They literally just started doing the ritual and then said, we're going now. Which to me definitely seems to confirm that once they do this, once they say the magic words or whatever, they'll just be instantly gone, or at least their minds will. We also get a very interesting note from the one guy. He says, they haven't tried this again since that one time, right? Which means they tried this before. When the freak was that? I mean, I know we missed like a year and a half or whatever of them going to various demon villages and whatnot. But that still feels like an important thing that someone should mention at some point. They've tried this and it didn't work, or they were missing something. I mean, maybe they weren't under the full moon, or maybe they were missing blood or something that they have now that they'll make it work. But I'm very curious if this will just fail, if the whole next chapter will be them just reviewing everything they learned from the Urals and deciding, okay, we're missing something. Do we need a human sacrifice? Do we need demon blood? Oh, God. That would be That would be dark. If they're like, okay, we need to find the brain of a demon and eat it in order to go out. And they'd be like, no, we're going to find the brain of a demon. And Norman just comes out like, oh, I have a whole room of horrors. Come see it. You'll love it. I mean, seriously, Norman, that room is freaking terrifying. There are fetuses in a jar in that room, Norman. You are freaked up. Anyway, moving on. So, if that doesn't happen, then I imagine next week it'll just open with them putting their blood in the jar and putting the blood-eating flour in the jar too, and then it just sprouting and them just waking up talking to the demon god. Which again, I've heard a lot of people argue this isn't magic, it's just super advanced science, but yeah, I'm leaning more towards magic right now. I mean, it's entirely possible that this is a demon of such overwhelming intelligence that he can alter consciousness and has a mental state that other people can enter. I also have a theory, and I was going to do a video on this, I haven't gotten around to it yet, that the demon god is Musica's father. Not just in the sense he's the father of all demons, but that his realm is essentially the afterlife, heaven, the land of wonder and perfection, and Musica left that in order to bring salvation to those still on the earthly plane. I might still try and do a video on that, I'm not sure yet. Alright, those are my thoughts on the Promised Neverland. I know this was a bit of a short chapter, but it was really just basically everyone saying goodbye. They all had their own different perspectives on why Emma had to do this, why she shouldn't do this, but in the end, they all realize this is Emma, and she's always led them correctly. She's never brought them down the wrong path, and all the time they followed her, and they trust her judgment, and more importantly, they know they couldn't stop her. I mean, short of literally putting her in a cage, they know there's nothing they can do to stop her, though the abnormals might try to do that anyway. And like I said, there's a very good chance that when this is all said and done, Norman's going to be charged with war crimes. Alright, so yeah, those are my thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. And until next week.
Peace.